So our lesson for today that we're going to do is the Manhattan and the Raw Roy, which are real similar. They're almost the exact same drink. These things are a cousin of the martini. They're super simple, and because they're close to a martini, they have similar questions, which are, number one, straight up or on the rocks, and then question number two is about the alcohols, but it is whiskey or bourbon. Sweet vermouth, kind of like dry vermouth, is wine. However, unlike dry vermouth, which is white wine, sweet vermouth is red wine. This is the vermouth that comes by default in Manhattans. These guys are also not quite as finicky on the amount of vermouth that goes into their cocktail, unlike martini drinkers. These guys, you can put a little bit more in there, but you still got to be careful. You don't want to put too much in these things. First, let's just make a regular Manhattan. First question, straight up or on the rocks? Let's say they want it straight up. And with whiskey or bourbon? Let's say they want it with whiskey. So our whiskey Manhattans we're going to make with good old Jack Daniels. So because it's a chilled drink, we need 1/3 to 1/2 a tin of ice. Then we take our main alcohol. What's our count there? 1.5 ounces, 6 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we need our sweet vermouth. Our count is a 2 count because it's a 1/2 ounce, but still be careful, make that a quick 2. 1, 2. Then we need to shake this thing, 6 full shakes. Strain this out of there. Then for the garnish, sweet, because it has sweet vermouth, sweet gets a cherry. Boink. And there you go. The next Manhattan is the dry Manhattan. So what happened to a martini when it became dry? It means there was less vermouth, right? Well, with the Manhattan, it's a little bit different. As you will see, it's the same amount, but it's actually dry vermouth instead of sweet vermouth. So a little bit more obvious with Manhattans. Regular Manhattan comes with sweet vermouth. Dry Manhattan comes with dry vermouth. So then, our questions that we need to ask them, straight up or on the rocks. So let's say they want it on the rocks. Whiskey or bourbon. Let's say they want it with bourbon. So our bourbon Manhattans we're going to make with Jim Beam, another American classic. Take our ice, fill our glass. Then we need to take our main alcohol, which is going to be a 1.5 ounces, 6 count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we need to take our vermouth, dry Manhattan, so dry vermouth, 2 count. Quick 1, 2. Be quick with that. Then for our garnish, sweet got a cherry, dry gets a lemon twist. So you take a lemon twist, right off your lemon there, twist it, drop it, has ice, give it straws, and there you go. So there's your dry Manhattan on the rocks. Next Manhattan we have is the perfect Manhattan. So perfect, this is kind of a key word. Anytime you see the word perfect in a cocktail recipe, it usually means that there's going to be a balance of 2 similar ingredients. And the 2 similar ingredients that are going to be balanced in this drink are the vermouths. So we're going to balance of sweet and dry vermouth in a perfect Manhattan. Still a 1/2 ounce total, so split into 2 drinks, that means, or into 2 ingredients, that's going to mean a 1/4 ounce of each. So same 2 questions. Would they like it straight up or on the rocks? Let's say they want it straight up. And would they like whiskey or bourbon? Let's say they would like with whiskey. So perfect Manhattan straight up with whiskey. So because we're going to chill it, we need 1/3 to 1/2 of a tin of ice. Then we take our main alcohol, which is going to be a 6 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, ooh, good save. Perfect Manhattan. So perfect means a balance of both of these vermouths, and it's going to be a 1 count of each. Remember what I told you with vermouth 1 counts from the martinis, that when you have a 1 count, you just want to go over and back as quick as you can. Same thing here with Manhattans, just the ha-ha, over and back as quick as you can when you have 1 count with vermouth. And you might think, oh man, that didn't look like enough. Good. Always err on the side of not enough as opposed to too much, and you will always be fine. Then we need to shake this thing 6 times. Just make a little crack, strain that on out of there. So with the garnish, sweet got a cherry, dry got a lemon. What do we do here when we have both of them in there? First inclination, put a cherry and a lemon twist, but you got to pick one, and you need to pick a lemon twist. And here's how you remember how. Sweet and dry vermouth are in this drink in a boxing match. They are duking it out, trying to find some space. You have to pick a winner. If you're a smart person who's betting on a fight, you're usually not going to pick the sweet guy. Most of the time, the sweet guy is going to get his ass handed to him in a fight. So, in this one, sweet versus dry. Dry beats the crap out of sweet, therefore dry gets a lemon twist. So we go back to our lemon, we pull off another little twist, we twist that, drop it in there. There you go. Perfect Manhattan whiskey, straight up. The last Manhattan I'll teach you now is the Southern Comfort Manhattan. Ah yes, Southern Comfort. Every high school student's favorite hard alcohol. Remember this stuff from high school? Yes, I think we all do. This Southern Comfort, also called SoCo, right? Pretty sneaky, SoCo, Southern Comfort. This is bourbon liqueur. Bourbon like Jim Beam is bourbon, but then it's sweetened with peaches and honey. So with the Southern Comfort Manhattan, we know what alcohol we need, so all we have is one question. Would they like that straight up or on the rocks? So let's say they want a Southern Comfort Manhattan on the rocks. We take our rocks glass, because it's alcohol and ice only. Then we scoop our ice. Take our alcohol, what is our count? 6 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now think cooking for a second. If you're making something and if you're cooking something and it's really salty, you don't add more salt to it. If you're cooking something and it's really sweet, you don't add sugar to it. This, in case you don't know, is very sweet. So in terms of our vermouth, we don't want to add sweet to sweet. That's bad, just like cooking. So we want to try to balance it a little bit and add dry to sweet. Does that make sense? So our dry vermouth is going to be a quick 1, 2. Now a little bit of a curveball with a garnish, because usually sweet gets a cherry, dry gets a lemon twist. But there's an overarching rule in bartending that says if it's very sweet in flavor, then sweet gets a cherry. So if a drink doesn't taste that sweet normally, like a regular Manhattan, go by the vermouths. Sweet gets a cherry, dry gets a lemon twist. But if a drink is sweet in flavor, overarching rule that says sweet in flavor, sweet gets a cherry. And of course, because it has ice, give it straws. And there you go. Southern Comfort Manhattan on the rocks. All right, the next one is a Rob Roy, which is almost exactly the same as a Manhattan in every way, but instead of whiskey or bourbon as your main alcohol, it's going to be Scotch. Always and only Scotch. So with the Rob Roy, there's only one question. Straight up or on the rocks? So regularly, the Rob Roys are exactly like the Manhattans, except that it's Scotch instead of whiskey or bourbon.